Welcome to Broken to Better. My name is Josh, and this is my journey from 450 plus pounds to healthy. How to move again when you're overweight. When I was 450 pounds, even walking across the parking lot, it would leave me out of breath. I would be sweaty, I would be tired. But here's how I started getting active anyway. The first thing is I don't I didn't do what, some fitness gurus or fitness channels told me to do. I did what I could. That's where I started. And that's where any of us can start. You start where you can. So for me, if all I could do was 5 minutes, then I would walk around the house for 5 minutes or out in my driveway or out in my yard. 5 minutes became 6 minutes. 6 minutes became 7 minutes. Doing it once a day became, twice a day. You start with what you can do, not what you should do. Consistency matters more than intensity. One of the things that, as I look back and I kind of think about how I got to where I'm at, one of the things that really does shock me is I had some of my best losses when my body was still kind of figuring out what I'm doing to it. Meaning, you know, I it didn't matter how hard that I worked out. What mattered is that I was consistent. I did something daily. And those small little wins, those small little, turning 5 minute walks into 6 minutes and 7 minutes, once a day into times a day, three times a day, those small little wins, they added up in a big, huge way. I'm now walking anywhere between 3 to 5 miles every other day. I'm in the gym every other day. I could have never have done these things started off. And if I had tried to do some of the things that I'm doing right now back then, I would have hurt myself at best, and at worst, I would have given up. Another thing is choose something that you enjoy. I enjoy the outdoors, so every chance I get, I am walking outside. Even when I'm at my home away from home office and I've got a little bit of downtime, I step outside. I'll go walk around the yard for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then today is a perfect example. When I get done with work, I'm going to walk a minimum of 3 miles today, all in one shot. Now I know sometimes it can feel like, oh well, it's easy to say it because I don't want to be embarrassed if I go to the gym. I I'm worried that I'm going to hurt myself, or I don't want to feel judged, or I just don't have the energy or the strength for it. And I'm not going to lie to you. All of those thoughts have hit my brain at one point or the other. And as far as embarrassment goes, do we really care? I think back to when I was 450 pounds. If I really cared what other people thought, I would have never let myself get that heavy to begin with. Fear of injury. Well, that's legitimate because you can hurt yourself. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to water it down. You absolutely can hurt yourself in this endeavor. But that's why I say you do what you can. Feeling judged. That kind of goes into embarrassment. I know that when I went to the grocery store in sweatpants and, a t-shirt that, barely fit me, I know I was getting judged. I did it anyway. Low stamina. This is actually kind of very important. For me, what I've noticed as time has progressed and I've been working out more and more, I have a lot more energy, a lot more stamina. That is something that you build. It doesn't come to you overnight. So again, this goes back into those small wins add up and consistency over intensity. I also want to, I can't say this enough because it's really easy for me especially, but I know other people, to get in our own heads and, you know, say that, oh, it's not working, my clothes aren't as loose as I'd like them to be, the number on the scale isn't what I want it to be, this just isn't working, I got to do something. And to that, I'm going to say, what you constantly have to remind yourself, because I constantly have to remind myself, is progress is slow. But again, if you stay consistent, your wins are going to be steady. And what I've started to do is I look at trends. I try not to focus on the daily numbers. I look at trends. So, just to recap, start with what you can do, not with what other people telling you should do. You should be able to walk a mile, da 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 da. If you can't do it, you can't do it. You got to work to that. Make that a goal. Consistency matters more than intensity. I cannot say that enough. And always keep in mind that the small wins, they add up. It's a snowballing effect. So on that, I just want to say, if you're obese and you're scared to start, I promise you don't need to be perfect. You just need to move. Share with me what's the first step you're going to take. I don't care if you're trying to lose 10 pounds. I don't care if you're trying to lose 200 pounds. Drop it in the comments below. I want to thank you. I hope to see you again.